Welcome to Combining the Gospels, where we discover what the gospel story becomes when all four gospels are read together. Each episode explores a single scene from the Gospel comparative, revealing how every account contributes to the whole story. But before we dive into the scene, let's briefly explain for anyone not already familiar. The Gospel Comparative is an innovative resource that lets you see all four Gospels side by side in a clear, easy-to-read format. And like a movie script, it uses a scene-by-scene structure, making it engaging, yet easy to read and very user-friendly. Now let's delve into our scene. In this episode, we're looking at scene 205, Peter's final denial. The first thing we see is that all four Gospels do contribute to the story. Next, we see it's a relatively short scene, only taking up about 3/4 of the page. And in this case, we do begin in the upper left of the spread with Matthew.
Matthew. And when he was gone out into the porch, another maid saw him, and said unto them that were there, This fellow was also with Jesus of Nazareth. And again he denied with an oath, I do not know the man. Mark. And a maid saw him again, and began to say to them that stood by, This is one of them, and he denied it again. Luke. And after a little while another saw him, and said, Thou art also of them. And Peter said, Man, I am not. John. And Simon Peter stood and warmed himself. They said therefore unto him, Art not thou also one of his disciples? He denied it, and said, I am not. Matthew. And after a while came unto him they that stood by, and said to Peter, Surely thou also art one of them, for thy speech betrayeth thee. Mark. And a little after, they that stood by said again to Peter, Surely thou art one of them, for thou art a Galilaean, and thy speech agreeth thereto. Luke. And about the space of 1 hour, after another confidently affirmed, saying, Of a truth this fellow also was with him, for he is a Galilaean. John. One of the servants of the high priest, being his kinsman whose ear Peter cut off, saith, Did not I see thee in the garden with him? Matthew. Then began he to curse and to swear, saying, I know not the man. And immediately the cock crew. Mark. But he began to curse and to swear, saying, I know not this man of whom ye speak. And the second time the cock crew. Luke. And Peter said, Man, I know not what thou sayest. And immediately, while he yet spake, the cock crew. John. Peter then denied again, and immediately the cock crew. Luke. And the Lord turned and looked upon Peter, and Peter remembered the word of the Lord, how he had said unto him, Before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. And Peter went out, and wept bitterly. Matthew. And Peter remembered the word of Jesus, which said unto him, Before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. And he went out, and wept bitterly. Mark. And Peter called to mind the words that Jesus said unto him, Before the cock crow twice, thou shalt deny me thrice. And when he thought thereon, he wept.
Well, now that's a scene. And having read it, we can now take a look at several key points. First is how all four versions contribute to establishing the scene, each bringing its own perspective on Peter's second denial. In Matthew, for example, it says he denies with an oath. Next, we see how the scene escalates. Matthew, Mark, and Luke all contribute to the story of how they recognize him as a Galilean. But then there's this standalone verse in John that really turns up the tension. Here, one of the servants of the high priest accuses Peter of cutting off the ear of his kinsman. This one verse, which is not in the other accounts, creates a real threat of violence towards Peter. Then he reacts, and we see his fear and apprehension boil over. In both Matthew and Mark, they make a point of saying he began to curse and swear. This leads to the main transition for the entire scene. Here, in Peter's final denial, immediately the cock crows while he yet spake, making this the key pivot point. Then there's this description of the Lord turning and looking upon Peter. This is hugely dramatic, and this visual detail is only accounted for in Luke. So now the words of Jesus come back to haunt him, after which he runs out and weeps bitterly. This video illustrating scene 205 highlights the design and overall function of this book. It offers just one example of how reading all four Gospels together is so much more powerful than any single one apart. And having the story crafted into scenes not only provides the complete content, it also ensures you have the full picture for each and every scene. There's much more to tell, and we'll produce more videos. In the meantime, to learn more and purchase your own copy of a Gospel Comparative directly from the publisher, go to gospelcomparative.org today. If you think this project is worthwhile, please like and subscribe. I know it sounds cliché, but it really does help. Thanks.